So it's time now to talk some cricket on the SportsMax Zone this Wednesday edition. Jamaica's cricket mecca, Sabina Park, in line for some major upgrades as the country works toward hosting more matches at the iconic ground. With the possibility of a CPL franchise return to the country, Jamaica Cricket Association President Dr. Donovan Bennett revealed that immediate upgrades, in particular a new scoreboard, which has already been sourced, and lights are necessary. Sabina Park will host one test and two T20s when Australia visit the Caribbean from late June, while Pakistan and India are also set to visit in 2026 and 2027, respectively. Dr. Bennett joins us now via Zoom. Dr. Bennett, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. Great to have you on the show today. Cricket is typically one of the strongest topics on this show, and a lot of interest in Sabina Park and its current readiness to stage major international matches. What can you tell us about the stories that we're getting about upgrades at Sabina Park?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me, Lance, and good afternoon. Right. Yes, Sabina Park has been in decline over the last few years, and as you said before, we are now without a scoreboard, and the present lighting that we have at Sabina Park is inadequate to hold international cricket. Right now we're at about 14,000 lux, and we need, on the wicket, we need 25,000 lux. Around the periphery, we need 18,000 lux. So we are way below international standard. So that's the bad news. The good news is that we have already secured a scoreboard, a gift from the government of India, that should be here and installed by the end of March to early April. And also the entire lighting system needs to and will be changed out in time for the Australian tour, because the night matches will start somewhere at 5 o'clock in the afternoon to facilitate the Australian public. So we definitely need to have the lights up and running by then. And we have already secured the funding from the Sports Development Foundation to change all the incandescent bulbs into LED bulbs, and also to install some additional lighting around the park. Yeah.
You touched on the scoreboard just now. I gather that the scoreboard, as you said, a gift from the Indian government, there had been a delay on it because it should have been installed maybe months ago?
Yeah, it should have been installed. We're expected to be installed in time for the Bangladesh tour. But the Indians got back in touch with us and said, hey, what you applied for is now basically obsolete. We have very new specs, and if we're going to give you a gift, we're going to give you the most modern and the most current specs. So we had to go back and do some adjustments to the measurements, et cetera, that we had sent to them. So this is what has delayed the thing. We could have opted for and gotten an older score.
Yeah, just a bit of a freeze there on Dr. Bennett. Well, that sounds like a good thing. Sometimes delays are not always bad, because it is suggesting, based on what he has just said, Moran and Ricardo, that it's because we're going to have a state-of-the-art upgraded scoreboard in coming this way, which is why the delay has happened. So yes, Dr. Bennett, I get you. So do you have a timeline now on this? Because as we just mentioned, the Aussies should be here in June. Is there a timeline on this new scoreboard?
Yeah, it will be here in time for the Australians. We've been told that by the end of March to early April, it should be here, and not only here, but should be installed by that period of time.
Right. And Dr. Bennett, I hear about the gift from the Indian government. I have to ask you, though, how has the support been from the Jamaican government when it comes to these upgrades?
Yeah, well, as I said before, the lighting that we intend to install will be funded by the Sports Development Foundation, which is really an organization that comes under the remit and the control of the Ministry of Sports. So they are helping us also.
All right, good to hear. And one of the things that in order to get matches to host and everything, the facilities need to be up to par. Jamaica's Sabina Park, whenever you read about, iconic grounds and everything, Sabina Park is one known for coming up in those discussions and those articles. How important is it to you in your capacity that, of course, Sabina Park is up to par and all the developments are where it should be? And I'm speaking about meeting international standards.
Yeah, well, meeting international standards is one thing. With the lights up and with the scoreboard up, we will be up to the basic requirements for international games. But that does not say that we're not far behind with the rest of the Caribbean, because when you visit Trinidad, your country, the Brian Lara Stadium, and you go to Barbados, Kensington, and you even go to St. Lucia, you will find that they are way ahead of us. So we have a lot of catching up to do. So what we have done, we have splintered our thing into the year. We have divided the year into two halves. One is to do the necessary things to bring the park up to a standard where we can host Australia. And then post Australia, we intend to tackle other things like sandblasting and painting the north stand, because that is rusting and in a state of repair. We have a long way to go. The field itself, the grassing of the field is not up to what it should be. That has to be tackled. Of course, we'll do that in conjunction with the Kingston Cricket Club, because they are the ones who actually own the field. There's a strange arrangement at Sabina Park where we own the stands and they own the field. So we'll have to work closely together to get the park up to where we want it to be.
Yeah, strange arrangement indeed, but one that has been in place for some time now. Dr. Bennett, I think it was sometime last year that I visited a regional match, and I was just in a state of shock as to what I had encountered at Sabina Park, and specifically in the northern stand as well. And I know you speak to the lights, and I know you speak to the scoreboard, which are very important, and I'm happy that those two things are being addressed. But there are some other things, Dr. Bennett, like the elevators, like just general cleaning of the facility. Like you cannot lean walking up the stairs to go into the north stand. You can't lean on anything, or else you're going to have to go home and get a change of clothes to go back to the venue. In my estimation, it is that bad. And I do have to ask Dr. Bennett, how did we get here?
That's a question that I really am uncomfortable answering, because I don't want to go back and to dwell in the past and to criticize or to say anything that may affect anything to do with the past administration. All I can tell you is that all of what you're saying is we recognize and we intend to move forward and to get the park up to where it should be.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, thank you very much for that, Dr. Bennett, and we look forward to significant improvement to the venue next time we visit, hopefully first for regional 4-day cricket, and then, of course, for that Australia tour. As usual, thanks for joining us, Dr. Bennett.
Yeah. Well, let me just point out that we have just one regional home game this year. So it's just one game against Guyana. And the CPL that a lot of people have been asking about, we're definitely going to have a CPL team, but it now looks like that is not going to happen in 2025, but it certainly will be happening for 2026.
Okay, and it sounds as if you're in some advanced talks, because there was an article recently speaking about some Indian injection.
Yeah, it's going to be an association with with a team out of India. One of the IPL teams have an interest in coming to Jamaica. But like I said before, 2025 is a little bit tight because the schedule for the 2025 CPL tournament, as we speak, is at the West Indies board for ratification. It has already been drawn up, and I don't think that they would be willing to go back and change the entire schedule just to accommodate us. So it now looks like 2026.
Yeah, and have there been any talks as well with the CPL organizers in terms of whether, you know, the Jamaican franchise would be the only one added, so you would end up with 7 teams, which would be an uneven number, as opposed to wanting to go 8 or to remain at 6? Are those conversations advanced yet?
Yeah, I think we're going to we'll add 1 to go to 7, and that is where we will be for the time being. I don't know what will happen in the future, but as you know, we have a new there's a change in ownership of the CPL, so one doesn't know exactly where that owner will want to go. But I know that for 2026, it will be 7 teams.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks very much for that update, Dr. Bennett. As usual, pleasure speaking with you, and I'm sure we'll chat again soon.
Okay, Lance, thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. Lance?
That was Ricardo.
Well, at least he didn't call him Mariah.
I don't think he would have done that anyway, but
It'd be super funny for me though.
I'm sure it would.
break time.
I think we should take a break, yeah?
Yeah, we definitely should.